I am in between two incredible off-road places. So out here in front of me is Johnson Valley, which is a massive desert. There's all kinds of trails out there, and that's actually where they do the King of the Hammers race every year. And behind me is the San Bernardino Mountains. And up there, there's also some great trails. The challenge is down here it's going to get really hot today, and there's this trail that traverses right through the middle of these, and it's going to take us up in elevation to some nice cooler trails called Rattle Snake Canyon. And so what I want to do today is take you along, and it's been a few years since I've been up here, so we're going to get reacquainted with this trail and just kind of explore it. Plus there's something I've been getting a lot of questions about, and I thought today is the perfect day to kind of talk about it. So we'll have a good discussion while we're on the trail, but first I need to air down and then we'll hit the dirt. Airing down your tires on this trail is important as there are some deep sandy washes and a long section with several medium-sized rocks to navigate that having a little extra traction will be very helpful. Rattlesnake Canyon is a trail I haven't been to in over 3 years, and today I'm doing it solo. This is a moderately rated trail. It starts out in some easy, loose, sandy washes, but as you make your way into the canyon and start going up the mountain, the terrain will change and get slightly more technical. And actually, my memory is a little bit fuzzy because the last time I was here, I don't think I recall it being as hard as it was today. Rattlesnake Canyon is just under 16 miles long and should take you around 2 to 3 hours to complete, and you will climb a total of 2,600 feet in elevation. There are a couple connecting trails towards the end that if you're looking for a longer day or even to do a few days out on the trail, that can be added to your route, but we'll talk more on those trails later. Rattlesnake Canyon can be done in a stock Jeep Wrangler or four-wheel drive with high clearance with somebody who's got some good driving skills. All right. Let's go see what we're in for today. Okay, we are just about 2 miles in, and the terrain and the plant life is all starting to change, and that will happen more and more as we climb up the mountain. I mentioned I haven't been up here in a while, and there's really no good reason for it. This is a great trail, and it is actually kind of a nice little hub to a whole bunch of other trails. Whether you want to go up in the mountains or you want to go out in the desert, it's a great spot. Now, the topic that I want to talk about today is something that I get asked about a lot, and it's exactly what I'm doing today, and that is off-roading alone by myself. I think there's a good discussion to be had, and so I think throughout the day what I would like to do is just share with you kind of some of my recommendations, things I think about when I come out here alone, and things that you should think about before you go venture off alone by yourself. And when I say alone, I mean just one vehicle. You know, you can have your spouse, your kids with you, but if you only have one vehicle, you're really kind of by yourself. You don't have a second vehicle to help you out if you break down, if somebody gets sick, if you get stuck. You know, that the best piece of gear you can bring with you on the trail is another person in another vehicle. So being by yourself, solo in a vehicle, is kind of what I want to talk about today. But we'll cruise down the trail a little bit further, and then I'll just, I don't know, we'll just have a good discussion, and I'd like to hear what you guys think too. right, we've started to hit some pretty good loose sand. It's not crazy, but it's fun. So something else to consider when you're coming out solo is how comfortable and confident are you with your vehicle? I mean, is it reliable? Have you been doing all your maintenance? Have you done an inspection, you know, nut and bolt inspection before you go out on a trip? And are all your oil changes done? I mean, all those kind of things are important, but like, just how confident are you in driving your vehicle? If you're still pretty new at it, or maybe it's a new vehicle and you just haven't gotten used to it yet, you know, maybe before you go out by yourself, you want to get some time in with some other folks. I think that's really, really important. You got to be confident and comfortable with your vehicle before you come out here and are solo by yourself, because if you get yourself into an obstacle, you know, judging whether or not you should continue on or turn around really comes down to how you feel about your vehicle and your confidence with it. So just one other thing to consider. So two other things that are very important when you're traveling solo is, one, make sure somebody back home knows where you're going and what time you plan on being back, just in case they need to come looking for you. Second, be sure to have your route planned well and bring some good maps or navigation tools so you can kind of help mitigate making a wrong turn and getting lost. Although I will say some of my favorite adventures were the result of a wrong turn, but I did have a good map and was able to get back on track, thankfully. Okay, this sand wash is a whole lot of fun. Although, don't forget to turn your traction control off. I had mine on, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, duh. Being 4 high and traction control. If you're driving a 392, don't leave it in auto, guys. Put it into 4-wheel drive. One of the things to talk about if you're being out here by yourself, and this is probably fitting since I'm goofing around in the sand, is, one, know your limitations, be safe. Don't do anything that's going to jeopardize you getting stuck or braking. Because the last thing you want to do is, like right now, if there was some deep sand, do I have a way to get out of it? Well, I have a shovel, I have some traction boards on board, so I think if I got stuck in the sand, which I don't think I will, I would have no problem getting out. But if you're going through like a big obstacle with a lot of rocks, you know, you really want to kind of second guess yourself a few times, because something that you may normally do when you're with a group may not be something you want to do when you're by yourself. I mean, look, it's easy to just have a tire slip off of something and, you know, you can get turtled or whatever, and then you got to figure out, you know, what am I going to do? Am I going to pull a winch? Am I going to stack rocks? And so when you're by yourself, you can self-recover, but it's just something that you have to be aware of. You know, you don't want to exceed your driving abilities, and you don't want to exceed your vehicle's abilities, especially when you're by yourself. thing to be careful of, guys, is once in a while the wash splits, and sometimes it's an easy one and sometimes it's a little rougher, and it looks like just got a few little rocks here, but just taking my time. But you never know what you're gonna get when you take one of these little V's. You might get easy sand, or you might get to play on a couple little rocks like that. No big deal, but keeps things interesting.
The next important thing to consider, and this is really not just when you're solo, but anytime you're out on the trail, and that is, what's the weather forecast? Something as simple as a little bit of rain or snow can transform an easy trail into a very difficult, challenging one quickly. And when you are running solo, trying to reduce risk, knowing the weather can help keep you out of trouble. Additionally, when you are in a desert wash or a canyon like this, flash floods are something to be very mindful of. It doesn't take much rain to fall, and then the water can begin to flow off of the surrounding mountains and quickly accumulate into an area like this. This water here on the ground is from a natural spring and runs pretty much year round, so no rain in my forecast, thankfully.
Fresh water running here. There's a spring up here somewhere and it just drains down the trail. It makes it interesting, although a little bit of muddy sand on your Jeep, but that's all good, keeping the dust down. One other thing to think about when you're out here by yourself, besides food and water, is make sure you've got, safety gear, recovery gear, first aid kit, fire extinguisher, seatbelt cutter that's easily accessible. I keep mine up here on the mirror, and a good winch, because you never know if you might need it. Although there's not a whole lot of winching points here, so we would have to get creative if we got stuck. But you want to make sure you just have some of those basics. It's very important. I mean, there's a big long list of things you need to have. These are just things that are kind of top of mind today while I'm on this trail. I'd love to hear what you think. What is something you bring you would not hit the trail without? So this trail is rated at moderate, and I think it's appropriate, but I gotta say, I think there's a few more rocks exposed than what I remember. Again, it's been a few years, but there's a few of these little sections where, you know, they're not big, they're not hard, but you just gotta pay attention to your tire placement. An easy route for a stock Jeep. But stuff like this right here, you know, that if you put your tire in the wrong spot, you could hang up a diff or whatever. But otherwise, it's kind of fun. I'm actually having a good time. It's not just an easy little dirt road, so I'm good with that.
Another important thing your off-road vehicle should always have anytime you're off the grid, and especially when you're by yourself, is enough food and water to last you at least a full day. If you are solo and find yourself stuck somewhere, it may take you a while to get unstuck, and that might change your entire plans, or you might have to wait for assistance. The last thing you want to have to worry about is not having enough water or something to eat. And speaking of eating, I think it's time to start looking for a lunch spot because I'm getting hungry.
What an incredible day. The trail conditions are perfect. The weather, it couldn't get any better than this today, guys. And we're not done. I'm actually here at the junction between Matino Wash and continuing up Rattlesnake Canyon. Now, Matino Wash is arguably one of the hardest sections of trail in all of San Bernardino National Forest. Now, that's arguably. It's 1.8 miles of trail. It does loop up and around. I won't be doing it today by myself. It is challenging. There are very large boulders. It will take you a little bit of time to get there. There's potential for body damage. So if you're going to come here and you don't want to do the crazy trail, make sure you don't go left. You keep going to the right. I think what I'm going to do before we continue on, and when we get to the end of the trail, we have to make a decision, but we'll talk about that when we get up there. I'm starving. I'm going to eat something for lunch real quick. No, I'm not doing anything crazy for lunch, although I'm going to cook, sort of, I guess. I'm going to boil water, I guess if that counts. But we're going to have a good old favorite, a little bit of ramen. And lately, I've started using kind of something that we used to use way back when we were hikers, and that is, you know, this is like not a pocket rocket, but it's similar, like a jet boil, but this is the MSR little one. And what I love about these is it's quick and easy just to boil some water super fast. And, you know, the containers, the little, I don't know, what do they call them? Isobutane containers fit inside. And these are just super easy to do. And I actually have an oversized one for boiling water and making ramen, so this works out pretty well. We're actually going to start carrying these, I think, in all the vehicles, just because for lunch we want to cook. It makes it super easy. And we now have these over at TrailRecon.com. So if you're interested in picking one of these up, go check us out over at TrailRecon.com. All right, I'm going to cook lunch and I'm going to enjoy this incredible day, guys. I know, say what you want. Ramen is not a healthy food, but it's a good food. It's funny because when I was a young man and, you know, just barely making ends meet, I lived off ramen and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and Kraft macaroni and cheese. And you would think that I wouldn't like ramen anymore, but I still really just enjoy it. It's really just, it's good. And it's quick and easy. You saw how quickly that water boiled, and have a nice meal, easy cleanup, and then we'll hit the trail. One other thing that I was thinking about while I was cooking this up, if you want to call it cooking, I don't have any cell reception out here, and so having some good emergency communication should also be part of your kit if you're coming out solo. I actually have 2 ways to reach help if I need to. I have my PLB, my personal locator beacon, and that's attached to NOAA's emergency management system, and so if I press that button, it sends out a very strong signal, and help is coming. Search and air rescue is coming. I also have the Zoleo. That has an SOS function as well, but it also has a texting ability, so I can text Regina or Buddy or whoever I need to say, hey, I'm okay, or no, I need help, or hey, I'm stuck, or I'm broke, can you come tell me? So those are my 2 ways that I communicate if I need to, if something was to happen while I'm out here. Regina likes it if I just hey, I'm good to go, and so it's nice just having that, and it's not a very expensive monthly fee.
About 13 miles up the trail so far, and the last section you come to as you come out of the canyon flattens out a bit, and you are rewarded with a landscape covered in Joshua trees. It always brings a smile to my face when I encounter a dense section of Joshua trees on the trail like this. They're such a unique plant, and every single one looks so much different than the next. This area is thick with these very large and old trees, some of which are over 150 years old.
So I said, when I got to the end of Rattle Snake Canyon, you have to make a decision. And the decision is whether or not to go that way up to Big Bear, which is a lot more dirt trail, although a lot more fun, and there are more trails that way. Or we head south towards Pioneer Town, which is a little shorter and will get us on some kind of back desert roads on the way home. This way will get us on some major highways and probably probably some traffic on the way home. So I think while I would love to go play a little bit more, I think I'm gonna take the shorter way out and go through the desert and head home kind of the back way. But this trail here, Burns Canyon, we filmed a little bit of it, but I think what I will do, if you want, is come back and film it just like this, a dedicated trail video, because Burns Canyon is pretty cool as well. Although I don't know if it's as cool as Rattlesnake Canyon. This trail today, really incredible. I did not expect so many awesome obstacles. It was a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me today, guys. Let me know what you thought of the video, and until next time, we'll see you in the next video.